roof is formed by the two muscles. That is, the roof is formed by medially. Medially, it is formed by the semispinalis capitis. Semispinalis capitis. Laterally by the longissimus capitis. Longissimus capitis. Roof is formed by the longissimus capitis. Medially by the semispinalis capitis. Now the floor. The longissimus capitis. The floor is formed by the floor. The floor is formed by the posterior arch of atlas vertebrae. Atlas is the first cervical vertebrae. Atlas vertebra. First atlas vertebra. That is the C1. Posterior arch of first atlas vertebra. Posterior atlanto-occipital membrane. Posterior atlanto-occipital membrane. There the floor is formed by the posterior arch of the atlas vertebrae. Atlas vertebrae, posterior atlanto-occipital membrane. These two structures form the floor of the suboccipital triangle. Now the contents. Contents is very easy. One artery, one nerve, one venous plexus. One artery, one nerve, one vein. That is the one venous plexus. Contents are C1 dorsal rami. It is also called suboccipital nerve. Third part of vertebral artery. Then there is a venous plexus. Then there is a suboccipital plexus, venous plexus. Suboccipital plexus of veins. Suboccipital venous plexus. Three contents. One nerve. That is the dorsal ramus of C1. It is also called as suboccipital nerve. It is the third part of the vertebral artery and the suboccipital venous plexus. Now the suboccipital muscles. What are the suboccipital muscles are here? See here, two recti, two oblique. Two recti. Two recti muscles. Two recti, two oblique. Superior oblique, inferior oblique, two recti. Two recti are nothing but the rectus capitis posterior major. Rectus capitis posterior major. Rectus capitis posterior major and rectus capitis posterior minor. Rectus capitis posterior major and rectus capitis. These are the four recti muscles. These muscles are supplied by the greater occipital nerve, that is the first dorsal cervical nerve from the dorsal ramus of the C1. And this main action is to maintain the posture. To maintain the posture means to keep the head elevated, to keep the head and neck erect posture. To maintain the main action of this muscle is to maintain the erect posture. Now we'll see the dorsal ramus muscle here. The dorsal ramus muscle, that is the C1 muscle, it will break to give the space in the arch of Atlas. It gives the break and it breaks here near the vertebral artery and supplies the 4 recti muscles of the suboccipital, 2 recti and 2 oblique muscle, and will go to the greater occipital nerve. Greater occipital nerve, GON. Greater occipital nerve is it is from the dorsal ramus of C2. Dorsal ramus of C2. Dorsal, never say ventral. Dorsal ramus of C2. It is the largest cutaneous nerve. It is the medial branch of dorsal ramus. It is the thickest cutaneous nerve in the body. Greater occipital nerve is the thickest cutaneous nerve. Greater occipital nerve. Root helix dorsal ramus of C2 is the thickest cutaneous nerve of the body. Hence, in the case of leprosy, it is quite obvious. In the case of leprosy, this cutaneous nerve is quite prominent. It is quite significant. It is quite this during the leprosy. This greater occipital nerve is the thickest cutaneous nerve in the body. It winds up the inferior oblique muscle and it crosses the suboccipital triangle and it goes to the semispinalis capitis, then it goes to the trapezius, then it goes to the back of the neck to the vertex. It goes to the back of the neck to the vertex of the skull. It is joined by the vertebral artery. Occipital artery. It goes upwards and it joins with the terminal branch of the occipital artery, and clinical importance is it is the thickest cutaneous nerve of the body. Hence, the clinical significance is it has become more thicker, more prominent in the leprosy. Now the third occipital nerve. Is the smallest slender branch having the C3. It supplies to the semispinalis capitis and trapezius, goes upwards, it also goes upwards, and it supplies to the external occipital protuberance. It goes to the external occipital protuberance. Then we will go to the vertebral artery. Vertebral artery is the first and largest branch of the subclavian artery. Vertebral artery is the branch arises from the subclavian artery. It is the sub branch of the subclavian artery. First branch of the subclavian artery. Subclavian artery. It has got the four parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. It has got the four part, but third part will come to the suboccipital triangle. Suboccipital triangle. It ascends upwards. This vertebral artery ascends upwards through foramen transversum. Through foramen transversum. Foramen transversum, the destiny to supply to the brain. The destiny to supply to the brain. Destiny to supply to the brain. Destiny is to supply to the brain. We'll see the occipital artery. Occipital artery, the terminal branch. Terminal branch. It is the subclavian artery, first and second, fourth branch. Third part comes here, and the fourth part is the forms the basilar artery. The destiny of the vertebral artery supplies to the brain. Now we'll go to the occipital artery, which is a branch of the occipital artery, which is the last branch, which is the terminal branch of the, here we see the terminal branch of the occipital artery, which is the branch of the external carotid artery. It divides opposite to the facial artery. It goes opposite to the facial artery. It divides and goes back upwards and to the posterior belly of digastric. Then it crosses the carotid fascia, 11th and 12th cranial nerve. Then it goes behind the mustard process and goes below the mustard process and the muscle supply to the mustard process. Then it joins the greater occipital nerve. We will see the diagrammatic thing here. See here, we will see before going to that, we will see three layers. First layer is the trapezius and there is a sternomastoid muscle. Second layer we are going to see here. Second layer we can see is splenius capitis and longissimus capitis here. Levator scapulae muscle we can see here. Levator scapulae, second layer. Third layer here. Third layer semispinalis capitis. Semispinalis capitis can be seen here. Longus capitis can be seen here. Superior oblique, inferior oblique, see here. Superior oblique, inferior oblique, ligamentum nuke. Ligamentum nuke can be seen here. Third occipital nerve, greater occipital nerve, and occipital artery is the terminal branch. It is a trapezius muscle. Trapezius muscle and occipital artery. It is occipital artery which is the branch of external carotid artery, which opposite to the facial artery. It comes back to the neck. It comes back upwards and backwards, posterior belly of digastric. Then it will come and join the greater occipital nerve here. Then we will see here we can see here the second, and we can see here. Here you can see the vertebral artery third, which is the superior articular facet is here, and posterior arch of atlas is here. The first cervical vertebra. Here the dorsal ramus gives the branch here. Gives the branch here near the vertebral artery here. Vertebral artery gives the branch here. Dorsal ramus is here. Third part of the vertebral artery. And you can see the borders. You can see the border sternum. You can see the borders here. See, rectus capitis major and minor. See, major and minor muscle, vertebral artery. Vertebral artery will enter goes to the upwards by piercing the atlanto-occipital membrane. It goes upwards by piercing the atlanto-occipital membrane. You can see this oblique muscle. Superior oblique and inferior oblique muscles are here. Two oblique muscle, two erecti muscle. Here you can see the posterior arch of the atlas floor. Vertebral artery can be seen here. vertebral artery can be seen here, greater occipital nerve can be seen here. These are the contents. Vertebral artery, it leaves the occipital triangle by piercing the atlanto-occipital membrane. And you can see here the course and vertebral artery. Vertebral artery start from the subclavian artery. It pierces the foramina transversum of the cervical artery, cervical vertebra. Subclavian artery ascends upwards. It is the first part. Beginning, first part, C6 vertebra and C5 and foramina transversum of the vertebra. These are the vertebra, transverse process of the cervical vertebra, which has got the foramina transversum. The transverse process of the cervical has a holes. They are called foramina. Foramina transversum, they goes above fourth part here, and there is a, you can see anterior spinal artery, posterior spinal artery, which supplies to the spinal cord. Here spinal arteries. These anterior spinal artery, posterior spinal artery supplies the vertebral spinal cord. They supply spinal cord. You can see here the artery. You can see here the basilar artery. Posterior cerebral artery supplies to the cerebellum. Cerebellum is supplies, and basilar artery it goes to the lower area of the pons. Here it is the subclavian artery. Here we are getting the third part in the suboccipital triangle. We are seeing here. See here occipital, that is the third part of the occipital. It is the occipital artery. Occipital artery here gives the three branches. Occipital artery gives three branches: meningeal branch, mustard branch, muscular branch. Here meningeal branch, muscular, three branches are given by the occipital artery here. Now we'll go to the muscles. Two rectus and two oblique muscles. Rectus muscle arises from the major spine of axis. Insertion on the ligament, inferior nuchal line. Nerve supply to this common nerve supply, suboccipital. This action is mainly postural, but turns the head same side. The minor, rectus capitis minor, it is on the posterior tubercle of the atlas. Atlas, first vertebrae. Insertion on the median posterior nuchal line. Mainly postural, it extends the head. And oblique, superior oblique muscle arises from the transverse process of the atlas and lateral area between the nuchal line. Mainly postural, extends the head. Oblique inferior, spine of axis arises from the spine of axis. Insertion the spine of transverse process of atlas. Inferior oblique. See here, major, rectus capitis major, minor. Superior oblique, inferior oblique. Isn't it? Spine of axis, ligamentum nu. This is the spine of atlas, nuchal line. This oblique, superior, transverse process, ligamentum nuchal line. And the oblique capitis, spine of axis, transverse process. Well, now we'll see about the last but not least, that is the applied anatomy. The applied anatomy is, that is applied anatomy. Neck rigidity. Applied anatomy. Rigidity of the neck. Rigidity of neck. Rigidity of neck. It is due to the meningitis. Meningitis due to the spasm of the external muscle. External muscle due to the irritation of the nerve roots. Irritation of nerve roots. Nerve root may be C1, maybe C2, maybe C3 or maybe C4. Nerve root rigidity of the neck occurs in the meningitis or maybe in the tetanus. Now cisternal puncture. Cisternal rigidity of the neck. Next comes cisternal puncture is done when the lumbar puncture fails. Cisternal puncture. Cisternal puncture, when the lumbar puncture fails, here to drain the CSF, cerebrospinal fluid, to drain the CSF, then the patient is asked to put erect posture or made to lie laterally, then there is a above the spine of the axis, above the spine of the axis, 1 inch above the spine of the axis, the needle is punctured. That is the 1 to 1.5 inch, above this. An imaginary line is made from the external acoustic meatus to the nasion, and the 1 inch 1.5 inch needle is inserted, and it goes to the cisterna magna. It goes to the space called as cisterna magna. Where the resistance will not be there, CSF can be drained. If the needle goes, it goes 1 to 5 centimeter, 1 to CSF. There is a spine of sphenoid just above the spine of this axis. It 1 centimeter, that is the 1 to 1.5 inch, 1 to 1.5 inch above the spine of axis vertebrae. Axis vertebrae is the C2, second cervical vertebrae. That is the needle is inserted. If by chance the needle goes more than this, the needle must go only 1 to 1.5 inch. If the needle goes more than 1.5 inch, it may cause injury to the medulla.